two books are the result of very hard work by our newly established publications committee. And they have done a wonderful job. And the two books are Fullness and Emptiness, Vedanta and Buddhism, and Mahavakya, the essence of Vedanta. So Swamiji, I would invite you to take the two books and the flash drive and offer. And Professor, this is the book on Vedanta and Buddhism, which you wrote the foreword to. So you have the privilege of releasing the book. All right? And saying a few words, if you would.
Thank you. Thank you, Swamiji. Thank you, Swamiji, for bringing this fullness and emptiness among us. You see in the title of Fullness and Emptiness, almost everything about Brahma and Shunyata is there. The Brahman, Brahman, to replete everything, to encompass everything. The word Brahman is that what encompasses everything, that is full. And Shunyata, emptiness, they are paradoxical, but apparently. There are so many nuances to these theories that it is a cliche to make these judgmental distinctions. Buddhism, particularly the doctrine of emptiness and the Brahman, have come to debate for the last 2,500 years. And not, like the way I said, polemical, but just to understand the absolute nature of the truth. Because not only that, these two have reshaped each other's from centuries after centuries, but that their identities, the similarities are much wider in category than differences. But what happens when people try to say they're identical, they end up homogenizing. And when we are comparing something, you need to keep in mind they are very much similar, and that is why we are comparing. So if there are two twins look exactly identical, and then you ask which one is the first, and then how to distinguish their characters. But you do not say, oh, this donkey looks so different from the mango. Okay, that's weird. I mean, that's like, of course, a monkey is very different from a mango. We are comparing Buddhism and Vedanta because they are almost identical. But what is missed is, in the cultural homogenization, people end up going, they are all the same, and end up getting some kind of perennial fantasy. Or they are very different, and then they keep running their own drums, never bother reading each other's faithfully. All the great Advaita Vedantians have done a faithful job of reading Buddhism very closely. But the same applies to Buddhist philosophers. If you go to Bhava-viveka, for example, if you go to Shanta-rakshita, for example, if you go to Gyanasri Mitra, for example, all the great Buddhist philosophers have also faithfully, carefully read Vedanta. So they have evolved together. These are, again, I could almost go to maybe just a matter of etymology. But yes, there are some subtle differences, and there are some categorical differences, but that doesn't mean that they're as different. So they are very much similar, and in this small book, you can read in a day or two, Swamiji has brought all the deepest nuances in the most simple terms possible. So this is the most read book of our time. Thank you so much, Swamiji.
So this book is Mahavakya, and Mahavakya, of course, literally means great sentence. It's one of the advantages of Vedanta, Advaita Vedanta, that such a vast literature, such profound thoughts can also be expressed in a single sentence. So at least that's the claim of Advaita Vedanta. And the sentence is, you are that. And in one way, all of Advaita Vedanta is basically an explanation of that sentence, Tattvamasi, you are that. There are other such sentences in the Upanishadic literature, the root texts of Advaita Vedanta. So conventionally you take four. Aham Brahmasmi from the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, I am Brahman. Tattvamasi, you are that from the Chandogya Upanishad. Prajnanam Brahma from the Aitareya Upanishad, which means this very consciousness is Brahman. And from the Mandukya Upanishad, Ayam Atma Brahma, this very self is Brahman. All of them mean the same thing. And the definition of a Mahavakya is the Jiva Brahma Aikya. That means identity of the individual and the cosmic. So what is real within us and what's real ultimately in the universe, it's the same reality. And and this is based on actually a famous text of post-Shankara Vedanta, Panchadashi. In that there is a chapter, chapter 5, 15 chapters on Vedanta. So chapter 5 is an analysis of the Mahavakyas, Mahavakya Vichara. And it's very interestingly, it's the shortest chapter, just a few verses. In this quite a big and difficult book. The shortest chapter is on the most important sentences. And we did a retreat on this chapter a couple of years back, I think. And then an idea came up among some of the participants in the retreat that this should become a book. And it became a book. And I had nothing to do with it, except give those original talks. So I am very grateful to our intrepid, brave, and very patient band of, in the publications committee, those who worked very hard over the years, and they're very patient, especially with me. I am a master of procrastination, so I let it lie and lie and lie. And they persuaded me, cajoled me finally. It has seen the light of the day. I think it's an e-book for the time being. And you can also, I think Amazon allows you to order print books. We'll be able to get the print books very soon. This is an initial copy, but it'll going to look like this. So thank you so much to the publications committee, everybody else who has worked so hard for this book and that one. That book, let me say just a couple of words about it, on Vedanta and Buddhism. That came out of 3 lectures which were on Buddhism, 2 lectures on Buddhism, 1 on Vedanta. And the last one is of the 4 lectures there. The 4th one is not a lecture actually, it's an article, it's an essay, which has an interesting background. I submitted it as a part of a requirement for a course at Harvard University. And my teacher there and the guide for that course, the professor who taught that course was J. Garfield, who is a noted authority in Tibetan Buddhism, especially Madhyamaka. And it's one of the courses I really enjoyed. But he's a tough taskmaster. So I remember when he gave this assignment that you have to write a 25-page essay for your final essay, final dissertation for the course. And all the students, students are the same everywhere. So they groaned and said, no, 25, that's too much, can't you make it half? I still remember, he said, all right, you can make it 12 pages, but I have a condition. all these texts we have been studying, starting from Nagarjuna's Mula Madhyama Kakarika, Chandrakirti's commentaries, and then a lot of Tibetan work, all these works that we have been studying, almost all of them are in verse form. Imagine doing this kind of extraordinarily subtle philosophy, but that too in poetry. So, all right, you can do your essay in 12 pages, it has to be poetry. And then everybody surrenders and no, we're going to write 25 pages. And he has very exacting standards. If you look him up on, there's something called Rate My Professor or something. So everybody is like tearing their hair. Luckily, I don't have hair to tear. So that he is famous for giving super dense readings. So every week, I remember, we had to read some 300 or 400 pages just for that one course. And he has a promise that if you give something to him in writing, he'll get back to you in 24 hours with full corrections. So I submitted this, and I got a rude shock. It came back within 24 hours with very harsh comments. He slashed it, left and right, and he said, "What do you think this is? A Vedanta talk? This is a paper submitted to the Harvard University, and make these changes." So I worked again, day and night, and then I submitted it again a second time. And he slashed and burned his way through that and came back to me within 24 hours. And again, numerous corrections. It was all red running through it. Third time, I worked again, day and night, and I submitted it for the third time. And this time he came back saying, this is a solid theological defense of Advaita against the Buddhist dialectic. And he said, it has to be publishable at a peer-reviewed level. So that was a very interesting experience for me. So that became the paper Chandrakirti's Chariot. So that's the last chapter in that book. Thank you so much, Professor. Thank you, Mrs. Timilsina. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.